Phylum Echinodermata, the last phylum presented in Chapter 28 on invertebrates. And there you see a sea star right there, starfish. Uh, Echinoderms have five-part symmetry, and they are deuterostomes. So we're going to describe the deuterostome phyla and features of deuterostomes and describe echinoderms. The deuterostomes are a group of animals that are differ from most of the animals. Most animals are protostomes. That means their mouth forms from the blastopore, the first opening in the blastula, the hollow ball of cells that is the result of cleavage. Deuterostomes form the anus from the blastopore. And this also goes along with several other features of deuterostomes. They have indeterminate cleavage. They usually have radial cleavage. They form the coelom from outpocketings of the forming gut. And it turns out deuterostomes may have some other features like pharyngeal gill slits and a hollow nerve cord. Okay, both chordates and echinoderms are deuterostomes. Okay, they both share that radial cleavage, indeterminate cleavage, forming the anus from the blastopore, forming the coelom from outpocketings of the gut, and then those pharyngeal gills and nerve cords and possibly notochords. And so here's a picture of the early formation of the gut, and that opening there, that's going to become the anus in chordates and in echinoderms. Okay, these are the major groups of deuterostomes, the echinoderms and the chordates. And the chordates include some unusual animals. And there's also some additional things that link them. That genetic sequence from the 18S ribosomal RNA, also their pattern of Hox genes. They have a duplication in the Hox genes, and they appear early in the fossil record. It seems kind of weird because we're chordates and we don't have five-part radial symmetry, but it turns out echinoderms do have bilateral symmetry when they're larvae. Okay, and it's not till they're adults that they develop this five-part pentaradial symmetry. We are also linked by echinoderms and chordates having an endoskeleton, an internal skeleton made of calcium-based materials. In this case, of echinoderms, it's ossicles and it's made of calcite plates, but they have some unusual features as well. And one of those is this very unusual water vascular system that controls their tube feet. And so this is a system where water moves in a canal, and that water can be used to move, kind of hydraulically move these tube feet. There's also muscles involved. And so this makes them, because they're using this hydraulic, it makes them very powerful. Slow moving, but quite powerful. They also have an internal skeleton and are, very good reproductive organs and digestive organs. Okay, here you'll see a sea star showing some of the internal features in a cutaway. It shows you the tube feet or ambulacral system. It has a ring canal and an opening to the outside called a madreporite, and then a radial canals that are carry away, and the tube feet are connected to little ampulla, which move water in and out of the tube feet. They're not fast, but they can generate lots of force, and so that's a really makes them effective predators of things like clams and mussels and other mollusks. That's often what they're doing, is doing that. Sea stars especially. So the first class of these are the sea stars. Again, five-part radial symmetry. They're really good at regeneration. If they lose an arm, they can regenerate one. But, kind of the unique thing is you can really only see that they're active predators when you use time-lapse photography. They have no head. They don't have any obvious mouth parts or teeth or anything like that, but they can open a clam and insert their stomach and digest them from the inside out. Okay, not all echinoderms are predators. Some are herbivores, and in the class Echinoidea, these are the sea urchins and sand dollars. These guys have a grinding structure called the Aristotle's lantern, and they scrape algae off rocks and free living stuff and are very effective herbivores. Another group of the echinoderms are the Ophiuroidea. These are brittle stars and basket stars. Their ossicles are jointed, and they rely more on muscles for locomotion and are very, very common animals in deep water and move much faster. Then there's also some smaller groups or groups that are less likely to be encountered in shallow water. These are the crinoids. They have 5-part symmetry and they use their feathery arms to trap particles and sweep them towards the mouth. And then the sea cucumbers, the Holothuroideas, have unique anatomy. They have far fewer uh, ossicles in their skin, um, but they are able to use, again, a structure to trap particles and sweep them into the mouth and are found in deep water. Okay, so superficially, the echinoderms don't look at all like chordates. Chordates always have pharyngeal gills, an internal skeletal rod called the endoskeleton. It's made out of fibrous uh, tissues that are filled with a pulpy tissue. They have a dorsal tubular nerve cord and a post-anal tail, but the similarities are more noticeable when you look at the larvae of echinoderms. And um, echinoderms, because they have these internal skeletal ossicles, they do share some features with chordates that we'll explore later. And so our uh, next group will be the chordates, and this includes lots of animals that are found in habitats beyond just marine waters. They're found in fresh waters and terrestrial systems, um, but of course, marine waters are where they're most abundant.